Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Aradhya Bhagavan Brajesh Tanayas Tadhama Vrindavanam Ramya Kachidupasana Vrajavadhu Vargena Vakalpita Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanamamalam Prema Pumartho Mahan Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhur Vatamidam Tatra Dharana Paraha Anarpita Charinchirat Karunayavatirna Kalau Samarpayitum Munnatojvalarasam Swabhakti Shriyam Hari Purata Sundaradyuti Kadamba Sandipita Sada Hridaya Kandale Spuratu Vashachi Nandana. Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jagat Mangala Advaita Mangala Gunadha Mangala Charitra Sada Mangala Jarana Sankarshana Karanato Yashayi Garbodhashayi Chapayogdishayi Sheshascha Yasyam Sakala Sanityanandakya Rama Sharanam Mamastu. Nityananda Ham Naumi Sarvananda Karam Param Harinama Pradam Devam Avadhuta Shiromani. Hare Krishna. We welcome all of our YouTube Live listeners, our listeners over Facebook Live, and our dear listeners over Zoom. We wish all of you a very, very happy Sri Nityananda Triyadashi. We are very fortunate that here in the US, today is Nityananda Triyadashi. And for those devotees joining us from India, you are also starting your day of Nityananda Triyadashi. So this is Lord Nityananda's supreme compassion upon us that we are together in this celebrating his divine appearance day. Jai Nitai. So before we move forward, we would like to congratulate and announce the names of the devotees who participated in the quiz session from yesterday. Hari Prasad Prabhu, Mother Flavier, Vrinda Gopika Mataji, Radha Mataji, and Ranjani Gopika Mataji. Thank you all so much for participating in this quiz session.
So today in session 23, on this most auspicious occasion of the appearance of Lord Nityananda, Sri Nityananda Trayodashi, we will do a very special session on Lord Sri Nityananda Ram. And we will conclude today's session by describing, by meditating on the most beautiful and exquisite form of Sri Nityananda Ram, Sri Avadhuta Shiromani, the crest jewel of all the Avadhuta, so that we can capture this divinely beautiful form of Sri Nitai in the core of our hearts, never letting him escape, with a very, very meaningful prayer. Can we start the PPT, please? The PowerPoint presentation for today, which depicts how Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur in his Chaitanya Bhagavat, Adi Leela chapter 9, very wonderfully describes about Sri Nityananda Ram.
So it is really magical that how we have covered till today the topics in chapter 8, and according to chronology also, and in the flow of the sessions of Gauramrita, we have Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur in his chapter 9. It is completely dedicated to Lord Nityananda. So this is so wonderful. This is a divine arrangement. We can say that it's a very happy accident, but nothing is an accident in spiritual life. Everything is an arrangement of the Lord. So we are so blissful that, even in the actual chronology of the event, this chapter of Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur is dedicated to Lord Nityananda Ram. So Avadhuta Shiromani Sri Nityananda Ram, Avadhuta means one who is so ecstatic he is mad in divine love for the Lord. That is called Avadhuta. And Shiromani means he is the crest jewel. He is the topmost of all the madmen. And we will see some of the exotic and the really mad pastimes of Lord Nityananda. We will witness that today. So with the blessings of Srila Prabhupada and of our Guru Vargas, we now try to humbly attempt to glorify Lord Nityananda on this most auspicious appearance day of Lord Nityananda.
Next slide, please. Lord Ananta Shesh, he appeared in the Radha district on an order which was given previously by Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. And he remained in this material world, Ananta Shesh, according to Mahaprabhu's transcendental desire. Next slide, please. In fact, Sri Nityananda Prabhu, who is the Lord and Master of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, he appeared in the village of Ekachakra in the year 1474. Nityananda Prabhu appeared on the auspicious Trayodashi, the 13th day of the bright fortnight of the month of Magha, which is the current month that's going on. His father's name was Harai Pandit, and his mother was Srimati Padmavati Devi.
Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur says, Rajendra Nandana Jai, Shachishuta Hoilo Shai, Balaram Hoilo Nitai. So the same Rajendra Nandana Shri Krishna has come as Sachisuta, as Nimai, and Balaram has come as Nityananda. So this is Lord Balaram. Next slide, please. And here we see how he has appeared in the 13th day, the Trayodashi of the month of Magh. This is the auspicious tithi of the appearance of Sri Nityananda Ram.
Lord Nityananda, next slide please. Nitai, he appeared at Ekachakra Dham in Birbhum, West Bengal. This is the birth appearance site of Sri Nityananda Prabhu in Ekachakra. When we go to that village, this is the place where he actually appeared to assist Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And there in the battleground of Kurukshetra, because there is a very interesting story why this particular place came to be known as Ekachakra. For that, we have to go 5,000 years before. Next slide, please. Where in the battleground of Kurukshetra, Lord Krishna, very famously, he broke his pledge of not using any weapon, but he pulled up a wheel of the chariot and he charged towards Bhishma Dev, holding that chakra, that wheel of the chariot as a weapon. At that time, Bhishma Dev was fighting valiantly against Arjuna. Bhishma, he was also a great devotee of the Supreme Lord. As soon as he saw the Lord charging at him, he at once threw away his weapons. And we can see Bhishma Dev, he just held his palms towards the Lord and surrendered himself. He began singing Krishna's glories as Krishna was charging with the wheel towards Bhishma. We can see Arjuna, he is holding on to the lotus feet of the Lord. But the Lord was so eager to protect his devotee, he dragged Arjuna all the way from the chariot as he was running. But Bhishma Dev, he was singing Krishna's glories, hearing these wonderful devotional glories of the Lord. The Lord calmed down and he threw away the wheel that he had picked up. And when he threw away that wheel, instead of throwing it on Bhishma, he threw away somewhere else. This wheel of the chariot is said to have flown all the way from Kurukshetra to land here in this small village of Bengal, which was subsequently known as Ekachakra. Eka means one, Chakra means wheel, because one wheel was found here. One wheel of the chariot of Arjuna came here. So Ekachakra, since then this place is known as Ekachakra. And Sri Nityananda Prabhu chose this place to appear. Because from the very childhood, Sri Nityananda Prabhu had a very serene disposition. Next slide, please. And he was very, very highly intelligent. This is the beautiful village of Ekachakra, where that one wheel, Ekachakra, came and fell from Lord Krishna's lotus hands. This is where Sri Nityananda Prabhu appeared. Next slide, please. He was not only intelligent, he was a reservoir of excellence. His charming beauty, it just overshadowed the attractiveness of millions upon millions of cupids. Next slide, please.
So on the day of Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu's appearance in Navadvip, now we need to understand Nitai made his appearance 12 years before. So Lord Chaitanya, so when Lord Chaitanya made his appearance in 1486 in Navadvip, Nitai could immediately understand that his Lord and Master has appeared. And while Nitai was in Ekachakra, Nitai was roaring in jubilation, and no one was able to understand that what is wrong with Nitai? What happened to Nitai? Why is he shouting like this? Why is he roaring like a lion? Nityananda Prabhu was roaring on the appearance of his transcendental brother, the golden Nimai, when he made his appearance. To welcome Nimai into the world, Nityananda welcomed him with his great roaring. Next slide, please.
But Lord Nityananda, he concealed his identity and he played very, very gleefully and ecstatically with other children of his age. The different games that Lord Nityananda played with his young friends were actually the manifestations of different pastimes of Lord Krishna. And Lord Nityananda, next slide, please. Here we can see he is playing as Lakshmana. Then one sannyasi came one time to Ekachakra, and Harai Pandit, Harai Ocha, and Padmavati Devi were very, very happy to receive him in his house, in their house, and started feeding them and asked, "How can we serve you? Please, you're such a great soul. How can we serve you?" And this great sannyasi, he said, "Well, are you sure you want to ask me this question? If I ask you, you may not be able to fulfill my desire." And Harai Ocha said, "No, I will. Ask me. You can ask me my life and I will give you." Harai Ocha said, "I don't want your life. I want your son. When I go travel all over this Bharat Varsha, I want your son to accompany me." And Harai Ocha, Padmavati Devi, their heart just broke. "What? You can take my life if you want, but not my son. Please, he's very young." The sannyasi said, "Well, I told you. Are you sure you want to ask me the question? You asked me what my desire is. This is my desire. And so, with broken hearts, they, just like Dashrath, had to bid farewell to Lord Ramachandra, and he could not survive that separation. In the same way, Harayoja and Padmavati Devi very broken-heartedly gave their son Nitai to this sannyasi, and they could not survive his separation as well. Then Nitai, along with this sannyasi and alone as well, he traveled to different places of pilgrimage for 20 years until the time Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu initiated and launched his Sankirtan mission. Till then, Nityananda Prabhu was just traveling. And then later, he met Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Next slide, please.
So now we will show you some of the traveling places, the highlights. Vrindavan Das Thakur has actually mentioned the places that Nityananda Prabhu went to. And if you see how he traveled, Nityananda Prabhu, he is the reason why he is called as Avadhuta. You will understand at the end of his travels. Lord Chaitanya at least took a proper route. It was like falling at least in the geographical way. Let us see how Lord Nityananda traveled. If you pinch out from the screen, you can see we have marked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you can follow us on the map. So it is said that the first holy place Lord Nityananda visited on his journey was the temple of Bakreshwara. There he roamed around in the forest of Vaidyanatha. And then he went to Gaya. After Gayadham, he came to Kashi in Prayag. And there the Lord bathed in the Prayag, in the confluence of all the rivers. He bathed there in the chilly months of Magha. Magha means January, February is the chilly months of Magha. So those times he would bathe early in the morning in that confluence of the Prayag. Then from Prayag, Nitai went to Mathura. He came first to Mathura. And there he visited Krishna's appearance place. He went to the appearance site of Krishna's appearance there, the prison house. He went there, the Janmasthan. And then he was very much attracted by the river Jamuna in Mathura. And he just sported in the gentle waters of the Jamuna in the place known as Vishram Ghat, where we end and begin our Brajamandal Parikrama. That particular ghat, Nityananda Prabhu bathed in. And then from Mathura, he went all the way to Vrindavan. He came to Vrindavan. He first circumambulated Govardhan Hill. And he was experiencing spiritual bliss in this. And then one by one, Nitai actually performed the entire Brajamandal Parikrama because he went to all of the 12 forests of Vrindavan. And then he finally came to Gokul. When he came to Gokul, Nityananda Prabhu, he saw the residence of Nanda Baba. And there in ecstasy, Nityananda Prabhu just broke down and he wept profusely because he was starting to miss his little Lord Gopal. So Nityananda Prabhu was just, weeping profusely when he arrived in Gokul. Then from Vrindavan, after completing his Brajamandal Parikrama, then Lord Nityananda went all the way to Delhi, to Hastinapur. And from Hastinapur, he came straight down west. He came to west and he went to Dwarka. There he bathed in the ocean and he was remembering Krishna, that how we built this beautiful city of Dwarka. Lord Nityananda was remembering all these pastimes. Then from Dwarka, he went back again to Kurukshetra. Then from Kurukshetra, he went to Naimisharanya, then to Ayodhya. And then in Ayodhya, he was bathing in the Sarayu River. He saw the birthplace of Lord Ramachandra, the pastime places of, Lord Ramachandra and Lakshmana. He saw the place of, the outskirts of Ayodhya, which had the Guhaka kingdom, Lord Ramachandra's friend, and Nitai was remembering the pastimes of Guhaka. Then from Ayodhya, he went straight down, all the way south. He came straight to Madurai. Then from Madurai, he came to Kanchipuram, took darshan of all the deities there. Then he came to Srirangam. To Srirangam, he came and, sorry, yes, here we end at Madurai. Yes, we end at Madurai. Can we go to the next slide, please? So from Madurai, then he went to Kanchipuram, and then he came to Srirangam. Then from Srirangam, Nitai went all the way up north to Badrinath. To Badrinath, to Kedarnath, he went all the way there, and then he went to Gangotri, Yamunotri, he went to all the four dhams, then he bathed in Haridwar after on his way to Badrinath, and then he went to Badrikashram also. When he went to Badrikashram, he was received by Vyasadeva. Now, Vyasadeva, he is Chiranjeevi. He is an eternal personality. He's always residing in this Vyasapoti. And Lord Nityananda, when he went to Badrikashram, to that cave of Vyasadeva, we in our naked eye, we can't see Vyasadeva, but Lord Nityananda was personally welcomed by Vyasadeva. And from all the way up, after spending some days with Vyasadeva in Badrikashram, from all the way up north, Nityananda then came all the way south to the tip of India to Kanyakumari. Just see how Lord Nityananda's travels are. He came to Kanyakumari, then he came to Kerala. He visited the Ananta Padmanabhan Swami temple. And then after visiting Kerala, from there he came to Maharashtra.
And this during this period of his journey, when he traveled to the western provinces, that's when he met Sri Madhavendra Puri by the divine arrangement of the Lord. In Pandharpur, as you can see, that's where the final place, not the final place, he continued his journey after that as well, which we will see. But in Pandharpur, a very special event happened. Next slide, please. There, Lord Nityananda, next slide, please. He met the saintly guru, Lakshmipati Tirtha. It is said that Lakshmipati Tirtha was having intense dreams about Lord Balaram. And then when he met Lord Nityananda, he was convinced that this beautiful young personality, Nitai, is none other than Balaram himself. And both of them, Lakshmipati Tirtha, who is the guru of Sri Madhavendra Puri, they soon developed a deep devotional relationship. According to some authorities, Lakshmipati Tirtha initiated Nityananda Prabhu at this time and gave him the name Swarupa.
Yeah.
Nityananda Swarupa. Lakshmipati Tirtha's most famous disciple was Madhavendra Puri, who received direct instructions and gifts from the deity of Kshirachor Gopinath in Ramuna. And he, Sri Madhavendra Puri, was the first to be revealed in our Sampradaya, the Madhurya Ras. Because Madhavendra Puri was Sri Nityananda Prabhu's senior, Nityananda by age, so Nityananda Prabhu always treated him as though Madhavendra Puri was Nityananda Prabhu's spiritual master. So Madhavendra Puri was kind of a Shiksha Guru of Nityananda Prabhu, but his Diksha Guru is Lakshmipati Tirtha, the spiritual master of Madhavendra Puri himself. And then when Lord Nityananda met his senior god brother, Sri Madhavendra Puri, both of them seeing each other, they became paralyzed and they lost consciousness, as we can see here, because they were so much overpowered by ecstatic transcendental love. And then Madhavendra Puri also went into ecstatic trance, lost all his external consciousness just upon seeing Lord Nityananda out of love for him. Both of them in Pandharpur, they relished each other's transcendental association for some days. And then Lord Nityananda left for South India to Rameshwaram. Next slide, please.
So we can see that Lord Nityananda, he had gone from Kerala, from Kanchipuram to Kerala. He went to Pandharpur, and then from Pandharpur, he again came back. He again came back to Rameshwaram. He wanted to see the Setu Bandhana, the bridge that Lord Ramachandra and he himself as Lakshmana, they had built along with the monkey army. So from Rameshwaram, then Nitai went to Tirumala, to Tirupati, to take darshan of Srinivas Govinda. Tirupati Balaji ki jai.
Govinda.
Jai Govinda, Govinda. And then from Tirupati, Lord Nityananda visited the Nrsimha Kshetras at Ahobilam. He took darshan of all the Nrsimha temples at Ahobilam, and then he went to Mangalagiri. He took darshan of Panaka Nrsimha Dev over there. And then from Mangalgiri, he came to Kurma Kshetra. And then from Kurma Kshetra, Nitai finally arrived at Nilachal Dham, at Sri Jagannath Puri Dham. Next slide, please.
And here, when Nitai saw the high fluttering flag of Lord Jagannath's temple, as you can see here, as soon as he saw in far distance the flag on Lord Jagannath's temple, as soon as he entered Purushottam Kshetra Sri Jagannath Puri, he immediately fell into ecstatic trance. He saw Lord Jagannath as the Lord of Dwarka, along with all of his divine associates and devotees that are present in that holy dham. Next slide, please. And he went on the altar and embraced Sri Jagannath. He is Baladev himself. He is on the altar, but he embraced, just like Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu embraced his wooden form, Daru Brahma form of Sri Jagannath. Similarly, Baladev, Nityananda Prabhu did the same. He spent a few more days in Nilachal Dham, and then he told Lord Jagannath, I'll be back. When Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu comes here, I will come along with him. Tabe dekha hobe. That time we will meet again. And then immersed in total spiritual joy, having taken darshan of Sri Nilachala Dham, Sri Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra. Next slide, please. From Jagannath Puri, he traveled north to Ganga Sagar in West Bengal.
So Ganga Sagara is the place where Mother Ganges, when she comes down from Haridwar and she travels to all the places she comes, and just before she meets into the Bay of Bengal, this place is like a Sagara. Like Mother Ganges, she appears like oceanic. So this place is called Ganga Sagar. Very, very, very wonderful place, very pious place. So Lord Nityananda came here to Ganga Sagara and he took bath in the refreshing waters of Mother Ganges. Now, Ganga Sagar is very, very near. It is, in fact, from West Bengal, Kolkata, from Calcutta, it is around, couple of hours to come to Ganga Sagara. So Nityananda Prabhu came till Kolkata, but he did not go to Mayapur because still Nimai was establishing his, scholarly pastimes at that time. Nitai did not want to interfere at that time. So therefore, he just took his bath at Ganga Sagara, and from Ganga Sagar, he came straight back again to Mathura, to Vrindavan, and completely absorbed in thoughts of Krishna. Nityananda Prabhu, he just spent his days in Vrindavan. Next slide, please. Nityananda Prabhu, he was completely unaware of the passage of so many days and so many nights in Vrindavan. He forgot about eating, and only occasionally he drank some milk when it was, provided to him by the Brajvasis. Nityananda Prabhu, while he was here in Vrindavan, he was able to visualize Lord Chaitanya. living as an ordinary boy, displaying his scholarly pastimes, Vrindavan Das Thakur says. That at that time, Vrindavan Das Thakur is saying that Nitai thought to himself that when Gaurachandra, when he will reveal his magnanimous pastimes of the Sankirtan movement, of the congregational chanting of the holy names of Krishna, at that time, I will come to his service and I will meet him at that time. So therefore, Lord Nityananda, he just continued to stay in Vrindavan Dham. Next slide, please.
And he was filling his days very happily, frolicking in the dark, cool waters of Kalindi, Jamuna. He was just lost in the mood of a young cowherd boy. And at other times, he would find so much pleasure just playing in the sand with young children, young friends. Lord Nityananda, he roamed throughout Vrindavan, just waiting for Lord Chaitanya to manifest his pastimes openly.
And when he got the news, when he was able to visualize that Lord Chaitanya has now returned back from Gaya and he has come back as an initiated disciple of Ishvara Puri, and now he is displaying his ecstatic emotional love of God and he has inaugurated the chanting of the holy names, Nityananda immediately left Vrindavan and came to Mayapur. Jai Shri Nityananda Rama Ki Jai. And this is the ecstatic meeting of Sri Gaura Nityananda. So we will not go into details of this pastime because it will be revealed a little later. But we thought of just giving a little glimpse of how the two lords, they met. And on this day when they met, seeing the ecstasy of these two lords, the devotees who were envisioning this beautiful, meeting of, Gaura and Nityananda, that day, the devotees, they formulated the word Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari 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 Bo, which means Nitai Gaura Prema Anande, seeing the Ananda, seeing the bliss of the loving emotions of Gaura and Nityananda. Everyone said Hari 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 Bo. So this was the day that this particular statement was coined of Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bo. So now let us look at some of the very, very sweet, very, very exotic pastimes of Sri Nityananda Ram.
Next slide, please. One time, Mother Shachi told her son, Vishwambhar, you know what? Last night, in my dream, I saw you and Nitai. Both of you, in my dream, you were just 5-year-old boys. Even though Nityananda Prabhu came much later, he was 12 years elder, but both of you were just 5-year-old boys. It's my dream. That's what I saw. And you were fighting and you were running around the house, both of you. Then I saw both of you enter the deity room. And from the deity room, you came out with the deities of Krishna and Balaram in your hands. Nityananda, he held Krishna in his hands. And you, Vishwambhar, you had Balaram in your hands. And then I saw something amazing. I saw that all four of you are fighting. Krishna, Balaram, Nitai, Gaura. All of you are fighting. I heard you saying, Vishwambhar, who are you two pretenders, Krishna and Balaram? Get out of here. This house, these rooms, this milk, this shandesh, this yogurt, everything else in this house, it belongs to us.
Then Sachimata said, this is how you talk to Krishna and Balaram, Vishwambhar, telling them to get out. And then that Nitai, he's also no less. He came and said to Krishna and Balaram, gone are those days when you both used to steal butter and yogurt. The power of the cowherd boys is now over. Your days are gone. Now it is the rule of us Brahmanas. Now we have come to rule over here. So both of you get out. Just get out from here. Now you must recognize us and you give up accepting any more offerings. You cannot take anything. If you don't give up, if you don't go away from here, then we will nicely beat you up. And saying this, Nitai pushed Krishna. And seeing Krishna pushed, Balaram came charging. At Nitai ki, Nitai, I'm going to beat you up. How can you push my Krishna? You can see that is what this picture is showing, that Balaram is coming, charging at, Nitai, that how can you push Krishna? And then Mahaprabhu, Gauranga came in between and said, hey, stop. We are Brahmanas. You are cowherd Gwalas. You are, what are you? Nothing. You are Vaishyas. We are Brahmanas, superior to you. You both get out. We are now here. So if you play mischief with us, I swear you will have to answer to me. If you come and touch Nitai also, you will have to answer to me. So then Nityananda replied, I am not afraid of you or your Krishna. I don't care. I have my golden Nimai to take care of me. So I am not bothered about you, Krishna and Balaram. You all do whatever you want. My Nimai is there to protect me. So I saw each of you, then Sachimata is saying that, you, all four of you were fighting for food and you were snatching food from each other's hands. Forget hands, you were snatching food from each other's mouths. You were not letting Krishna Balaram eat. You were only going on eating, both you and Nitai. So what is this? What is this? Nityananda, then, he, after that, in my dream, Nityananda is telling me, Mago. Even Nitai used to call Sachi Mata as Mago, my dear mother. Nitai said, Mago, আমার খিদে পেয়েছে, একটু ভাত দাও. Means Nitai came to Sachimata and said, Mago, I'm feeling very hungry. Please give me some rice. At that very moment, my dream broke and I woke up and I could not understand this meaning. What is this meaning? Nimai, tell me.
So Shri Vishwambhar Gaurasundar Nimai smiled and said, my dear mother, promise me one thing. You will not tell this to anyone. I will invite Nitai for lunch prasad, and then you can fulfill your desire to feed him. This dream is just a manifestation of your love for Nitai, your desire to feed Nitai. So I will bring him, and then you can feed him as much as you want. Next slide, please. Then Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, he invited Lord Nityananda to accept lunch at his home. Here in blue is Lord Nityananda, yellow dhoti is Nimai. And accepting this invitation, Lord Nityananda went with Lord Chaitanya. He was very well received by Mother Shachi. And with both the lords, they sat down for lunch. It appeared as though Lord Ramachandra was having lunch with Lakshmana. And Mother Shachi very happily served them food, and they began to eat with loving exchanges. Then the lords began to smile while eating, and Mother Shachi returned with more food. But to her astonishment, she could find only 2 attractive boys in the place of Gaurnitai. Gaurnitai were not there, but very attractive 2 little boys were there. One of them was white, and the other was dark in complexion. Both of them, next slide please, both of them were naked and they had 4 hands. They were holding a conch, disc, club, lotus, plow, and a stick. And Shachimata was saying, where are Gaurnitai? This was no longer a dream. This was a reality. Am I really dreaming still? But they were adorned with Srivatsa, 2 of them, white and dark, and Kaustuba gems, and they wore earrings that were fish shaped. Mother Shachi, she could also see her daughter-in-law within the heart of her son, which is none other than Lakshmi Devi. And suddenly, this vision disappeared. And Gaura came back. And Sachi Mata just fell to the ground with incessant tears of love. It wetted her entire body and clothes, and she felt completely senseless. The rice that she was carrying to serve Gaura, it fell, was strewn all over the room. And then Vishwambhar, he immediately got up Lord Chaitanya. He washed his hands, calmed Mother Shachi down, and very soon Mother Shachi revived. But she was just incessantly crying out of love inside her room. She was breathing heavily. Her body was shivering. She was in ecstatic love of God. And she forgot everything else. Such was the love of Mother Shachi for Gauramrita. Next slide, please.
So it is said that Lord Nityananda, when he came to Navadvip, to Nadia, Lord Nityananda always stayed in the home of Srivas Thakur. And Srivas Thakur's most blessed wife is Malini Devi. And Malini Devi was like the mother of Lord Nityananda. She was, it is said that Malini Devi was a gopi in one of the elderly gopis, the friends of Mother Jashoda. And she used to personally give her milk to Krishna and Balaram. She was one of the nurses, like how Daima, they say Daima. So she would nurse Krishna and Balaram. So here also, in that same Vraja Bhav, in that mood of Vraja Leela, Malini Devi would personally, by her own hands, Nityananda Prabhu, when he came to Nadia, he was 32 years young. Lord Chaitanya was 20 years young. And when both the lords met, Nitai was 12 years elder. So he was 32. So 32-year-old young man, he was being fed by this wonderful chaste lady, Malini Devi. And he performed various pastimes in her house. And Nityananda Prabhu would actually only eat only when Malini Devi would personally feed him. This was the kind of love that Nitai shared with Malini Devi. One time, in order to test the faith of Srivas Thakur, the husband of Malini Devi, Lord Chaitanya, he came to Srivas and said, why do you have this Avadhuta Shiromani in your house? Why do you have him here? This Srivas, you are a very reputed Vaishnava. You have nice family. You should not keep this Nityananda Avadhuta in your house. You don't know anything about his family. You don't know anything about his lineage. Nothing we know about him. He has just appeared here in Nadia. What is this? We don't know anything about his background. What does he do? Look what he does. He is playing with little boys. He's dancing around Nadia like a madman. He's putting in the Ganges. Next slide, please. Look at him. When he goes to the Ganga, what does he do? He is sporting in the Ganges like a madman with crocodiles. He climbs on the back of one crocodile and he takes two other crocodiles in both of his hands, in each of his hands. And then he uses those crocodiles as oars. And he says, oh, I am the Lord of Ganga. And he just flows down the river Ganga like this. What kind of madman is this Avadhuta Nityananda? I am warning you, Srivas. If you want to maintain the reputation of your family, you must throw this Avadhuta out of your house. Throw him out. And you know what? Yesterday, I saw him. Personally, I saw this Nityananda Avadhuta. He was coming out of a liquor bar, of an intoxicating liquor bar. He was coming out from that. And you're keeping him in your house. What is this?
So hearing this, Srivas Thakur just started dancing in ecstasy. And dancing, wow, Nitai was coming out of a liquor bar. Amazing, how merciful he is. And he told Lord Chaitanya, look, Nitai, he went into this most abominable place. And so Mahaprabhu said, are you not doubtful that what Nityananda Prabhu is doing inside a liquor bar? He said, no, I have full faith. He is so merciful. He went into this most abominable place just to deliver those drunkards. he goes to the most abominable places to deliver people. Jai Nitai, Jai Nitai. And this is the perfection of my life. Thank you for telling me about the glories of Lord Nityananda. That look, he is not bothered about anything except to deliver the most abominable. This is the perfection of my life. I will never think of anything else other than serving Nitai and your lotus feet.
And hearing this, Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu was so pleased with Srivas and he blessed Srivas Thakur. Next slide, please. The Lord said, "You have understood the truth about my most dear confidential associate. Because of this, you have purchased me, Srivas." And then Mahaprabhu gave a blessing. He said, "Even if there comes a time when the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi Devi herself, may be forced to beg on the street with a bowl in her hand, but never, ever will there be poverty in your home, Srivas. Even the cats, the dogs, all the living entities in your home will be blessed by me with Krishna Prema." Next slide, please. My dear Srivas, your humility and your faith in Lord Nityananda, you have shown this is how, as devotees, we need to have faith and that trust in our spiritual masters. Nityananda Prabhu is Adi Guru. He is the original spiritual master. So with this faith of yours in Nityananda, you have purchased me. Next slide, please. And Lord Chaitanya, he started dancing like an ecstatic. He was dancing in ecstasy. And he said, "My dear Srivas, I have sold myself to you. I have sold myself. You have bought me with your faith. I am your sold out servant." Jai Shri Nitai, Jai Nitai, Jai Nitai.
Jai Srivas Thakur ki Jai.
Jai.
Shri Gauranga Mahaprabhu ki Jai. One day, when Lord Nityananda, he was staying in the house of Srivas Thakur, a crow came there. And next slide, please. And he flew away with a bowl made of bell metal. If you actually remember the slide where Malini Devi was feeding Sri Nityananda Prabhu, you will see on the window sill there was a crow. If you see there, there's a crow that's there. That same crow would come there, and one time he flew away with the bowl of bell metal. Next slide, please. We can go back to the slide of Lord Nityananda. Thank you. And this bowl of bell metal, which the crow took, was used to keep ghee for Krishna. And Malini Devi, the wife of Srivas Thakur, saw this crow, which returned after leaving the bowl in its own nest. And worried about this, she began to cry. And Lord Nityananda arrived there and learned, "Why are you crying?" He said, "This is the same crow that took that bell metal bowl full of ghee, and now he has put that in his nest and come back again." Nityananda Prabhu said, "Don't worry, I will get your bowl back." And the Lord, Nitai, he turned to the crow and asked him, "Give back the bowl." The crow, he was amazed and astonished. And he said, "Huh? How are you able to?" The crow was asking Nitai, "Oh, oh, how are you able to speak in my noise, my voice, in my language?" And Nitai said, "Well, if you can speak in my language, I can speak in your language." And the crow said, "Of course, of course." And so he went to carry out the order of the Lord and came back with the bowl in his mouth. And then Malini Devi knew very well the glories of Lord Nityananda. She fainted in ecstatic love to see this wonderful incident. And after recovering, she offered her respectful prayers to Lord Nitai.
Jai Nitai.
Next slide, please.
On another occasion, Lord Nityananda, he performed a grand kirtan in Panihati at the home of Raghav Pandit in Panihati. And at this occasion, after the kirtan was done, Lord Nityananda instructed Raghav Pandit, I need to be bathed. Please do an abhishek for me with the Ganga water. Now, Panihati is right on the banks of the Ganges. So Raghav Pandit and all the devotees, they collected pitchers and pitchers of water, and they came and bathed and did abhishek of the most merciful Sri Nitai. And after bathing Lord Nityananda, from the waters of the Ganges, everyone was singing the glories of Lord Nityananda. And after the abhishek, they dressed Nityananda Prabhu with beautiful ornaments and beautiful clothing, and they applied sandalwood paste all over his body. They decorated him with flower garlands and tulasi leaves. Then the Lord again sat down on a throne, and he glanced at everybody, showering his mercy of Krishna Prem upon everyone. Then he told Raghav Pandit, come here, Raghav. I want you to make me a garland of Kadamba flowers, because I love Kadamba flowers, because they remind me of my dear Lord Gauranga, because the Kadamba flower is golden. It is golden in color. It's like a tennis ball. And then there is, can we have the next slide, please? We'll show you. This is how Nityananda Prabhu blessed everyone. Next slide, please. So here, this is how Kadamba flowers look. So Kadamba flowers appear as if, when Lord Chaitanya is in ecstasy, that's how Lord Chaitanya looks, like a Kadamba flower. So Raghav Pandit said, my dear Lord Nitai, I don't have any Kadamba flowers, and now is not the season for Kadamba flowers to grow. So then Nitai just said, no, go to your backyard. You just go and check. You'll see Kadamba flowers are there. And, receiving this instruction, immediately Raghav Pandit came to his backyard of his home, and on a lemon tree, magically, he found these Kadamba flowers, which magically appeared on a lemon tree, which was growing in the courtyard of Raghav Pandit. So in the lemon tree, Kadamba flowers. So immediately, in great ecstasy, Raghav Pandit collected all the Kadamba flowers. He, plucked out all the Kadamba flowers. Next slide, please. And he made a beautiful garland. Next slide, please. And he made this beautiful garland of Kadamba flowers and offered it lovingly to Lord Nityananda Ram. Jai Shri Nitai ki Jai.
Next slide, please. One time, Lord Gauranga, he once revealed to Nityananda Prabhu that in Dwapar Yuga, when Krishna was playing hide and seek along with his friends, one of our friends, Sridham, he had hid himself inside a cave on Govardhan Hill because he didn't want to be seen. And so at that time, Krishna had told Sridham, you hide here and come out of this cave in Govardhan only when I call you. In due course of time, Lord Krishna forgot to call Sridham. He left Vrindavan for Mathura that time. And then he became the king of Yadus. And then ultimately he wrapped up his earthly pastimes. Now, thousands of years have passed since then. But Sridham, he is still waiting for Krishna to call him out of the cave. He is still within that cave in Vrindavan. He's completely immersed in that friendly hide and seek game. He's still thinking that Krishna and Balaram are looking for him, searching for him. And because Krishna had said, do not come out until I call you, he is still inside the cave. This is the greatness of the Lord and his innocent devotees. They're completely oblivious of their external surroundings. In fact, to the extent of even forgetting even their own existence, simply to serve their Lord with all their hearts. So, Lord Chaitanya told Nityananda Prabhu, go and get Sridham from that cave.
So, in order to bring Sridham to Nadia, Lord Nityananda again went to Vrindavan, all the way to Vrindavan. And there he reached out. Next slide, please. So we can see this, that Krishna tells Sridham that go and hide in the cave. This is how he was telling and reminding Nityananda Prabhu that, yes, look, see, everyone's playing hide and seek. And he caught Sridham like this, go hide in that cave and I'll call you when you come out. So like this, Sridham is still hiding in the cave. Next slide, please. Then reaching Giriraj Govardhan, Lord Nityananda, he called out, Sridham, Sridham. Hearing his name being called out, it was Nityananda Prabhu's voice. It was like roaring of the thunders. And then he came out, Sridham came out, and he saw the beautiful form of Lord Nityananda, who was dressed in blue, beautiful blue dhoti. But unable to recognize Sridham, who Lord Nityananda is, he inquired, hey, who are you? Why are you calling me? I'm waiting here for Krishna and Balaram. Who are you? And then Lord Nityananda said, hey, I'm Balaram. I've come here. This is now the age of Kali. Now let's go. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishna is calling you. He's Gaura Rai right now. This is Kali Yuga. And then Sridham said, just now we were playing. Now it is Kali Yuga. No. I'm just waiting. You are telling lies. And then in order to test whether this is actually Lord Balaram or not, Sridham proposed that they have a running race around Govardhan Hill. So Sridham said, if you are indeed my Lord Balaram, then you would be able to defeat me in this running race. No one other than Lord Balaram can defeat me. So if you're claiming that you're Balaram, let's go. And Sridham, his height was 14 feet, almost 14 and a half feet tall. And Nityananda Prabhu was 7 feet tall. So he was almost double the size of Lord Nityananda. And then they started racing. So,
because in Dwapar Yuga, as the age proceeds, the memory, the height of the general height of the individuals keeps going lower and lower. In fact, it is said when Kalki Avatar would come 427,000 years from today, at that time, they will be all pygmies.
Tiny dwarfs. So then they started racing, and then, of course, Nityananda Prabhu won the race. And immediately Sridham said, yes, I believe you. You must be Lord Balaram. So then, then Nitai said, let's go to Nadia. It's time. Let's go now. I've come to take you. So then Sridham said, no. I don't want to go. Look at me. I'm 14 feet tall. I'm still from Dwapar Yuga. And how I will match all of you? This is not, coming out correctly. What is this? Then Nityananda Prabhu, he actually said, okay, that we'll see later. But first, Nityananda Prabhu actually, can we have the next slide, please? He lovingly, he just first embraced Sridham. And then, can we have the next few slides? These are just pictures of Lord Nityananda. Beautiful, beautiful pictures. And we can end the slideshow here. Thank you very much. So at this, Lord Nityananda, he actually chastised Sridham. Nityananda Prabhu called him Murkha, you fool. And he said, Kohilen ei hoyeche kolikal, ঘুমাইয়া রহিলা মূর্খ জাতিতে koala. This is said in Abhiram Lilamrita. This entire pastime comes in Abhiram Lilamrita. And Lord Nityananda said, my dear Sridham, this is the age of Kali. You foolish cowherd boy. You have spent an entire yuga sleeping in this cave of Govardhan. Then Nityananda Prabhu revealed to Sridham about the descent of Krishna as Gauranga Mahaprabhu and the propagation of the Sankirtan movement, the congregational chanting of Krishna's holy names. And he told Sridham how the Lord actually missed you. And that's why Krishna sent me to you to bring you back with him. And then initially Sridham said, no, no, no. If I have to go, then I have to give up this body again, go and take birth from another mother's womb. I'm not interested. Nityananda said, no, no, no. You don't have to take birth again. In this very body, I will take you to Gauranga. So then he said, you don't have to take birth again. Then Sridham said, what about my height? He said, don't worry, I'm here. I'll take care of you. Nityananda Prabhu manifested his plow and he pulled down Sridham. He put it on Sridham's shoulder and he pulled him down to the size little shorter than Lord Nityananda, 6.5 feet. So he made him 6.5 feet. And then he said, from today, your name is Abhiram Thakur. Ram, he said, your name is, first he said, your name is Ramdas. Ramdas means Balaram, the servant of Balaram. And Abhiram also means that he's non-different from Lord Balaram. So these two friends very happily, they came back to Nadia. And, Abhiram Thakur was one of the 12 prominent sakhas who manifested and, assisted Lord Nityananda in his magnanimous pastimes of the Sankirtan movement. The others were Gaudidas Pandit, Udharana Datta Thakur, and Sri Kamalakara Pippalai. These were the cowherd boys who came from Rajalila in Gauralila to assist Lord Nityananda.
So here there is a very, very wonderful observation that's revealed here. Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu, he was supported by his very, very close associates like Swarup Damodar, Ramananda Rai. These are all incarnations of the principal gopis of Rajalila, like Lalita, Vishakha, and so on. Now, in order to give mercy to the principal sakhas of Rajalila, these cowherd boys, Lord Nityananda took these cowherd boys under his loving shelter, because there should not be any mixing of the rasas. So the Sakhis, they stayed with Lord Gauranga, and the Sakhas stayed with Lord Nityananda primarily. Krishna's Sakhis came as assistants, associates of Lord Chaitanya, and the cowherd boys of Krishna Balaram, Sakhas, they came as associates of Lord Nityananda. And in this way, Sri Nitai, he exhibited so many inconceivable pastimes that are very rare and very exotic. And only those who have implicit faith in Lord Nityananda can actually hear and take benefit from them. These pastimes are so wonderful, they drown them in the ocean of ecstatic love. So what is the Phala Stuti of this? It is said, whoever in Nityananda Charitamrita, whoever hears these wonderful narrations with devotion, he is crowned with the most precious gem of success, which is Krishna Prema, the love of Godhead. And then he ends by saying, Lord Krishna Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda are my heart and soul.
So now let us conclude our session by meditating on the most beautiful and the divine form of Sri Nityananda Ram. So the copper golden complexion of Lord Nityananda, of Avadhuta Shiromani, Sri Nityananda Ram. It is said, Nityanandam maham bande karne lambita moktikam Chaitanya grajarupena Pavitri Krita Bhutalam. Salutations to Lord Nityananda Prabhu, who has one single pearl like a earring that suspends from one of his ears, the left ear. He is the elder brother of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu and who is the purifier of this entire world. So Lord Nityananda, he used to, he would love to wear and decorate himself with a lot of jewelry. Whenever he would want, Vrindavan Das Thakur explains that whenever he would want, the jewelries would manifest and Lord Nityananda Prabhu would personally adorn himself with nice jewelry. He would wear blue sapphire and red ruby toe rings in his lotus feet. He would wear beautiful, designed ankle belts. It had pearl danglings and nice, chan ghungroos would be there in the ankle belts. Lord Nityananda Prabhu would mostly dress in blue colored dhoti, and he would also wear a pink satin sash, which would, very firmly and tightly go around his waist and tie up, like the cowherd boys, they do that. So Lord Nityananda would have that pink sash tied around his waist. A very beautiful golden belt would adorn his slender waist, and he would wear a garland of Kadamba flowers, and a garland of forest flowers also he would wear. He would have on all of his fingers, he would have rings made up of blue sapphires, of red rubies, and different other stones and pearls and gems. He would wear bracelets, armlets, and beautiful pearl necklaces were dangling around his neck. He would wear very, very wonderful, earrings. On one ear, left ear, he would wear earring. And Lord Nityananda's lotus face, he would decorate. His complexion was like that reddish copper and gold mixed. And with a tinge of white also, giving the view of Lord Balaram like that. So this is the combination of the lotus face of Lord Nityananda. He had beautiful hair, very, very beautiful hair. And he would, also on his right ear, on top of his right ear, he would also put a champa flower, to just intensify the beauty of his. And he would always tie his hair up on a top knot, and he would have pearl danglings around that top knot bun. And Lord Nityananda would have beautiful tilak, and his lotus eyes would always be so reddish, like this, intoxicated in love of God. It is said that Nityananda Prabhu's lotus face is more beautiful than the cooling autumnal moon.
And then his effulgence that is coming out of his body, it's supremely beautiful. And when he moves like a mad elephant. He has that swagger. Since he's always intoxicated in Krishna Prema, he's always mad after Krishna Prema. His body is completely spiritual energy. And he always has a smiling face.
Yeah.
His eyes are very fickle. It keeps going here and there, moving to and fro. His lotus hand holds a glowing staff. This staff destroys all of our reactions of Kali Yuga. So therefore, we should take shelter of Sri Nityananda and cry and beg for the mercy of Sri Nityananda, because he's the root of Krishna Prema, Bhakti Kalpataru, the root of the tree of loving devotion to Krishna. And so, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur says, I do my bhajan of Lord Nityananda, who is the very root of Krishna Bhakti Vriksha.
So a prayer that we can conclude with is that, my dear Lord Nityananda, you are Adi Guru, the original spiritual master. Your mercy is limitless, unconditional, and truly causeless. I am drowning in an ocean of misery. Please kindly pick me up and engage me in the direct service of my Guru Maharaj, who is your representative, so I may be able to taste the unlimited ocean of bliss. The name Nityananda, Nitya means eternal, Ananda means bliss. So Nityananda means he is the personification of Sat Chit Ananda. He is the personification of eternal happiness. So with this, we conclude our session here. Jai Nitai. এইখানে রহিল গ্রন্থ অমৃত লহরী বদন ভরে একবার বলো হরি হরি. So today we thought in the occasion of Lord Nityananda Prabhu's appearance day, we will sing a very beautiful bhajan that has been written by Srila Lochan Das Thakur. It is called Akrodha Paramananda Nityananda Rai. So the lyrics and the meaning will also be posted. So please do read the meaning It's very beautiful Bengali bhajan written by Srila Lochan Das Thakur.
Akarodha Paramananda Nityananda Rai Abhimana Shunda Nitai Nagore Berai Athama Patita Jive Dare Dare Jiya Athama Patita Jive Dare Dare Jiya Harinama Mahamantra Dano Vilaya Harinama Mahamantra Dano Vilaya Jare dekhe tare kode Dante Giradhare Amara Kiniyalaha Bhaja Gaura Hari Ato boli Nityananda Bhume gori jai Sonara Parvata Jana Dhula se lutai Hello Abotare Jai Rutina Janmiro Lochan Bale Shri Papi Elo Argelo Lochan Bale Shri Papi Elo Argelo Akarodha Paramananda Nityananda Rai Akarodha Paramananda Nityananda Rai Abhimana Shunda Nitai Nagore Berai Abhimana Shunda Nitai Nagore Berai Jai Nitai, Jai Nitai. Hare Krishna. So before we open up the lines, we will quickly announce the quiz questions. First, when and where did Sri Nityananda Prabhu appear? What is Nityananda Prabhu's parents' name?
Third, what is the reason behind for the village named as Ekachakra? Who is the saintly person who came to Sri Nityananda Prabhu's parents and what he asked?
Fifth, how long did Sri Nityananda Prabhu was traveling with the saintly person until he met Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu? Sixth, what are the places of Sri Nityananda Prabhu visited in his yatra?
That's going to be a tough one. Seventh, at which place Sri Nityananda Prabhu was welcomed by Srila Vyasadeva? Where did Sri Nityananda Prabhu meet Sri Madhavendra Puri?
Ninth, who is the Shiksha and Diksha Guru of Sri Nityananda Prabhu? 10th, what is the initiated name given by Lakshmipati Tirtha to Sri Nityananda Prabhu?
Why Nityananda Prabhu didn't go to Mayapur initially, even when he went to Calcutta? How was the statement Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol appear?
13th, what was the sweet dream of that Shachi Mata had? 14th, what did Shachi Mata see when she was serving feast to Sri Nityananda Prabhu and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu?
How was Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tested? How did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu test Srivas Thakur's love for Nitai? What is the benediction given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Srivas Thakur?
17, by the magic of Sri Nitai, whose courtyard Kadamba flowers come from the lemon tree? 18th, who was hiding in the cave of Giriraj, Vrindavan, by the order of Krishna? And what is the name given by Sri Nityananda Prabhu to him in Kali Yuga?
19th, explain the beauty of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. 20, what is the meaning of Nityananda?
21, what is the benediction of listening to the pastimes of Sri Nityananda Prabhu.
Jai, Jai, Jai. Thank you so much, Shamala, for these beautiful questions. Now let's open up the lines. Garima? Garima? You can open up the lines, please.
Hare Krishna Mataji and Prabhuji, Danvat Pranam, always to share Prabhupada and Gurudev. I love this class a lot, and how you both told the story of Sridham and Nityananda, how they had a friendship, and also how Mother Sachi had that wonderful dream how Krishna, Balram, Nitai, Gaura were all fighting. And so funny that I don't know who was saying, but there was I think someone was saying get out, get out.
Nitai was saying that to Krishna, get out from here. Now it is no more your time. Get out from here. Now we are here now. We are here to rule.
It is so funny when I just hear that, like, get out. Can you say, your Lord, that you get out? It's so funny. I have a question, like how Ram, Lakshman, Bharat, and Shatrughna, they were all brothers. Even Krishna, Balram. So, do we call them brothers because they are born from another like womb? So, do we call them like brothers?
Yes.
They are brothers from another mother. But yes, they are, you know, in that sense, they are stepbrothers, but the brotherly relationship is, of course, based on the blood relationship, but it's more based on the heart-to-heart friendship and brotherly love that one has. Many times we may have friends who may not be our brothers because of being born from the same mother, but we have that close relationship with them like a brother. So,
Yeah.
in that sense as well.
I understand that, Prabhu. Now I made this necklace
For
yesterday
Nitai?
for Nityananda Trayadashi,
Right.
and I also made a set of like these four for the bracelets.
Wow.
Beautiful,
Amazing.
Beta. Very nice.
Jai Nitai.
Very nice. Thank you, Beta.
And also for Nityananda Trayadashi, I also painted this.
Jai
And
Nitai. Beautiful. We love you so much, Garima. Thank you, Beta.
I also love you too.
Hare Krishna,
Krishna.
Beta. Hare Bol. Kirti.
Hare Krishna Mataji Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, praise to Srila Prabhupada, Guru and Gauranga. I really liked your class today, Mataji and Prabhuji. It was about Nityananda Prabhu, and it was nice to hear all the pastimes. And I really liked the running race pastime when he found out that he was Balaram. That was really nice. And I also didn't know that Ekachakra was where Krishna did the wheel thing. I did not know that, and that's something that I learned. I have two quick questions. Number one question is, what is Lord Nityananda's favorite food?
It is said that Lord Nityananda has a sweet tooth. He loves sweets. He just loves sweets. And he also loves chutneys. He loves achar, pickle. And he does love shak. Shak means spinach, any kind of spinach. He loves that. And, you know, the traditional Bengali items like mocha, which is banana flour, and raw jackfruit, you know, sabji made out of raw jackfruit, and, you know, kushmanda, which is pumpkin, the red pumpkin. sabji is made out of that. He loves all that. When he eats salty items, he likes it to be nice and spicy. He likes spicy food. And when he's eating chutneys, he loves it to be like really like that. He loves, khatta, sour things like that. Nityananda Prabhu, one time it was shown by one, devotee showed, Nityananda Prabhu would take like this, the chutney, and put on his tongue. He'll go like that. He loves to do that. And then he loves sweets. He really loves sweets.
Okay, Mataji. I had one more question. So, I was wondering. So, when J.D. Goswami's Dashavatar sloka, there was also one for Balaram, and Nityananda Prabhu is Balaram. So, when Balaram is also like one of the 10 incarnations, would Nityananda Prabhu really be considered Balaram or Lord Vishnu, because Balaram is an incarnation of Lord Vishnu from the 10 from the 10 avatars. So would Nityananda Prabhuji be considered as Balaram or Lord Vishnu?
He is none other than Lord Balaram. And yes, it is said that Balaram is the 10th incarnation, is the 8th incarnation of the Dashavatar. Halkeshavadhrita Haladhara Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare. So he's there, but actually in the original sense, as we learn from Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita, that Krishna expands into Balaram and also from Brahma Samhita. And Balaram then expands into Chaturvyuha expansion, which expand into Narayan, and then again, second Chaturvyuha expansion. And from Sankarshan, the Chaturvyuha is Pradyumna, Aniruddha, Sankarshan, and Vasudeva. From that Sankarshan of the Chaturvyuha, second Chaturvyuha, comes Mahavishnu. So then from Mahavishnu comes Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. So actually, Vishnu is the incarnation of Balaram in one sense, and as well as Krishna. But Nityananda Prabhu is Balaram himself, who is the source of Mahavishnu.
Okay, Prabhuji, I understand. Thank you, Mataji Prabhuji, for your beautiful session. I learned so much from this session about Nityananda Prabhu. Thank you, Mataji Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Beta. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Anjudi, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Jai Jai Shri Radhe.
Jai Shri Radhe. We can't hear you, Di.
Hare Krishna. Jai Jai Shri Radhe. Can you hear me?
Yes.
It was such a divine and beautiful nectarian session today. Jai Jai Shri Nityananda. Jai Jai Shri Gauramrita. Beautiful. Nimai Nitai. I remember when I was very young, and when we used to go for these leelas, I used to, and they used to Nimai, Nimai, Nitai, Nitai. Still, I remember that thing, echoing in my ears, and they used to go. So, and we used to go, oh, okay, Nimai, Nimai, Nitai, Nitai, like, when we were very small. And with the leelas, everybody used to go like that only. It was beautiful, very, very beautiful. And the bhajan was also so nectarian, so melodious. So actually, we just don't know. We are so ignorant. We just don't know anything of these leelas and everything of incarnations of Prabhu, of God. And with your divine association, actually, we are blessed. We are very, very fortunate that we are knowing all these things, This is really सच्ची में भगवान की बहुत ही असीम कृपा है और हमारा सौभाग्य है कि हमको ये सब कुछ पता चल रहा है. We are hearing these pastimes and such beautiful Phala Stutis when you say in the last, sometimes tears comes to the eyes. Oh my God, the Phala Stuti is so big. We have been so ignorant, so much tried in this material world. Let me first give you the good news. Mommy is back to home now.
Very
So
good.
she has been discharged from the hospital. Yeah, yesterday only. And then I came to Bangalore.
Oh, you're
And
back in Bangalore.
hopefully
Okay.
it will be very slow. Yeah, I'm back in Bangalore. You can see my place. I'm back
Yes,
in
that's what
Bangalore.
we were
And
wondering. I mean,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, she's very weak. It's a very, very slow recovery. But आप इतनी prayers कर रहे हो, सब लोगों का इतना blessings हैं, तो हो जाएगा. Radha Rani or Krishna है ना, so
Yes,
they'll look after her. Yes.
definitely.
Actually, I was just seeing when nowadays. One thing was beautiful happen in this thing was that I got associated with Mangal Aarti of Mayapur.
Yes.
And I was just wondering, okay, how will I do in the hospital, the Mangal Aarti? And all of a sudden, I just don't know, it just clicked on the button, and it was live Mangal Aarti. And I said, oh, wow, like, thank you, God, for everything. And I saw that in fact, I was also wondering in all the mandirs also, we have big idols of lords. Then why we have those miniatures also kept at the bottom in all the, if you will see, we go in ISKCON and everywhere. So what is the symbolic or what is the thing behind it? Having the
They are called
bigger
as
and the smaller?
they are called as puts.
Archa
Pardon?
Vigraha.
I missed it out.
They are called as Archa Vigraha
Okay.
because Archa Vigraha means that, you know, the big deities, they are made of marble and they cannot be bathed, and abhishek cannot be given. They can be just wiped with the wet towels and things like that. But the way that the pancharatrik vidhi of worshipping the deity, that can be done with small deities only.
They
Like
can be taken out for Harinam, or they can be brought in front of the altar for doing Abhishek during festivals. But the big deities cannot be brought in front of everyone. But the small ones can. They are more merciful, so because they can be uh, transported and moved and like that.
and also
Okay.
the daily abhishek, the daily worship is done, like the big deities, they cannot be, like I said, they cannot be bathed, or they cannot be, like how normally small deities, we do abhishek for them. So big deities, they are just wiped clean, and then they are just dressed very opulently. And therefore the big deities, the reason why we have big deities, now the question can be asked, why do we have big deities then? Srila Prabhupada said that if you just have small deities, then seeing those small details of Krishna is going to be very difficult. So therefore we need both. You need to have the big deities where you can see the proper features of the Lord, and you have the small deities where you can do the pancharatrik vidhi, the archana and the abhishek for the Lord. So that's how the worship is established.
Okay. And I have one more question. Actually, this was my, like, it keeps on coming to the mind. Like sometimes you see, like, when people are not performing their duties very, very well, and they are at fault, and you just want to correct them also, but but if you correct them very politely, also they just don't listen to you. You correct them 2, 3 times, and also then you I also know that showing anger and all is also not right. So you get so difficult, so situations arises, and you know that it's not right. How do you deal with it?
Well,
I
first of
just don't.
all,
I get very stuck in these situations.
well, we had asked a similar question to one Maharaj, that Srila Giriraj Maharaj. He said that when we have to correct someone, and we want to make sure that it is that it should have the proper effect. We are not doing it to put someone down, but just for their benefit. But then how to say it in a way that they also understand that it is for their benefit. So he said that before we correct them, we should first pray in our mind and make sure that we are really coming from a place of benefiting them, and that we are not using this as an excuse to take out some other issue that we may be having. And we should first look ourselves within and make sure that we are not doing it from that. We are coming from the right place within our heart. And we should first forgive that person for doing that mistake within our heart. First, we should work on ourselves, and we should make sure that we have forgiven, in the sense that that person's doing it is not bothering us personally. And we pray and we chant, and once we are convinced that, yes, I'm coming from the right place and doing it, then the second step is to understand what is our relationship with that person. Is the relationship such that if I say, that person will listen to me? Is it that they know we have that relationship where that person knows that I am their well-wisher? Or is it a stranger? Or is it that we don't know each other so well that if I say this, it could be misunderstood? So we should, second step is to assess that relationship. Do we have that? If we don't have that relationship, we just pray for them within our heart to Krishna, and they will do it. Because if we don't have that relationship and we tell them, it may get worse. And then if those two questions are answer is yes, I'm convinced I'm coming from the right place, and that our relationship is such that they know that I'm their well-wisher, then we can share it in a very constructive way. And while sharing that, we should first glorify them. First tell some of their good qualities, because everyone has some good qualities. Then mention this thing that we want to submit, want to correct, and then again end with some of their good things that they do. If we follow these three steps, then there is more chances of success. It can still backfire, but at least we are coming from the right place. We have prayed properly. We have made sure that we have that relationship. And thirdly, we expressed it not by saying, hey, you should not do this. If it comes just like that, the other person is shocked, and they are not able to receive it in the way that we want to give them. So if we do these three things, then there is more chances of them receiving our correction.
And also, when we are telling them something good, like Prabhu said, as the sandwich, the good things which we tell them, make sure that they are relevant and it doesn't seem artificial. It has to be something real. And also, if the second answer, the question to the second answer, the answer to the second question is that, yes, we do not have that relationship, then we can seek the shelter of someone who has a good relationship with that person. And having that person as our ally, we can approach. Then that also kind of mellows down, what we have to say. So hope this answers your question.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think so when we will concentrate on the good qualities and all, then the things will also just, our tone and everything all will also change, and our thinking factor will also change. Otherwise,
our heart also changes.
Our heart also changes. Everything changes, That is a very beautiful thing, very beautiful answer. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Jai Jai Shri Radhe.
Jai Radhe. Jai Nitai.
Jai Nitai. Jai Jai Gaur Nitai.
Today's day we say Jai Nitai.
Jai Nitai. So today we fast also in the this?
Yes, fasting till noon. Fasting till noon. Yes.
Okay, fine. Sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Surud, Stuti.
Hare Krishna Mataji and Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranams.
Dandavat Pranam, beta.
Hare Krishna Mataji and Prabhuji, all the Pranam, all the Srila Prabhupada. I give thanks your class, and my favorite part is when Nityananda Prabhu asked for the Kadamba flowers when it was not even the season for Kadamba flowers to Raghavacharya, and I went to his garden and he on a lime tree he saw Kadamba flowers.
Magic.
Very
Yes.
well.
He made a garden with it.
Yes.
And I have one question.
Yes.
So, in Treta Yuga, Krishna came as Ram, Lakshman, Bharat, and Shatrughna. And in Dwapar Yuga, who were Bharat and Shatrughna, and even in Kali Yuga?
Good question. Bharat and Shatrughna are actually they are considered to be like the weapons of Krishna. You know, Sudarshan and I think the bow of Krishna was Sharanga bow of Krishna is Shatrughna. So yeah, Lakshman's plow.
His brother was
Shatrughna. Yeah. So these, Bharat and Shatrughna are considered to be the weapon incarnations of Krishna, like Sudarshan Chakra and the Sharanga bow. So in Krishna and Balaram, they came as the weapons themselves, as Sudarshan Chakra and also as the bow, so they came as themselves, the weapon themselves are, personalities. And, they are not like inanimate objects, even Krishna's flute is an incarnation, is Venu. So, or Vamsi, like that. So the Sharanga bow and the Sudarshan Chakra, they are also manifested directly in Krishna Balaram in Dwapar Yuga. And in Kali Yuga, they come as the associates of, I'm not sure who they are exactly. I will have to look at when we don't remember who they are actually.
But also there is the Chaturvyuha, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, Vasudev, Sankarshan. So they are also the four brothers, Ram, Lakshman, Bharat, and Shatrughna. And so Krishna Balaram, in Krishna's pastime, Krishna Balaram is Vasudev, and Sankarshan. Sankarshan is Balaram. And Pradyumna and Aniruddha, Krishna's sons and grandson, they are Bharat and Shatrughna. They come as Pradyumna and Aniruddha also, as in Dwarka, as Krishna's children.
And grandchildren. Hope this answers your question, Suru.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Beta. Thank you.
I also have a question. How did he travel, Nityananda Prabhu, to walk that much? The legs were hurt for him. So how did he walk?
How did he walk? He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And I'm sure that you were there somehow or the other. When Lord Nityananda Prabhu would feel any hurt, you would be there to massage Lord Nityananda's lotus feet. I'm sure of that.
And he had a stick that he would go and he would bless everyone with the stick. They would get Krishna Prema. That stick was also helping him soothe the pain. But he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He can walk. In those days, there was no car or none of the transportation, no cycle as well. But most people would just walk. And that was the normal mode of transport. That's why everyone was very healthy.
Thank you, Mataji and Prabhuji. Mataji, I have one more question. Who are Jagai Madai?
Huh?
Who are Jagai Madai and Madai?
They were the Jai Vijay, gatekeepers who came as Shishupal and Dantavakra, who came as Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha. That's Jai Vijay, the gatekeepers of Vishnu, who were cursed by the four Kumaras.
And why did Jay and Vijay wanted to take birth again in the for the fourth time?
Fourth time. Because the third time also they came as, Dantavakra, Shishupal. Second time was as Ravan and Kumbhakarna. So the fourth time they said, oh, our dear Supreme Personality of Godhead, He's coming as Lord Chaitanya. This is a hidden incarnation. We also want to be there with Lord Chaitanya. We also want to be there and assist Lord Chaitanya in his own pastimes also. So although they had finished their 3 sessions, they came out of their own will. They wanted to assist Lord Chaitanya in his special pastimes also. That's why they came.
Thank you, Mataji and Prabhuji.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
So Bhakti Priya has a question. 2 questions. What is the meaning of Nityananda? Why Nityananda always chooses blue color? Well, because that's his favorites. Nityananda, Balaram as well, he would wear blue. Krishna wears pitambar, yellow. And Nityananda Prabhu, Balaram, they wear blue. And the meaning of Nityananda is Nitya Ananda. Nitya is eternal. Ananda is bliss, eternal bliss.
Krishna.
Excuse me. He's the source of eternal bliss. That's why he's
Haribo.
Nityananda.
Any other questions?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Hare Krishna Mataji. Beautiful class and beautiful pictures. Very nice class. Is Sudama and Sridhama same person, Prabhuji?
No. Sridhama is the brother of Srimati Radharani, who looks just like Srimati Radharani. So Sridhama is different. Sudama is the friend of Krishna who came to Mathura to meet him.
To Dwarka. I mean, there's 2 Sudamas. There was one Sudama as the Gopa in Vrindavan, as the Sakha in Vrindavan, and the other Sudama was the friend of Krishna who went to school with Krishna, the other Brahmana boy. That is another Sudama. So there were 2 Sudamas and one Sridham. Sridham is the brother of Srimati Radharani. And Abhiram Thakur is that same personality of Sridham.
Thank you, Mataji. That clears up. I had a question, but I was doubting, but I just want to make sure. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Any other questions or comments? If not, we can end here. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki
Jai.
Jai. Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada.
Jai.
Vibol, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji Prabhuji.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna Mataji and Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam.
Hare Krishna Mataji and Prabhuji, Dandavat pranam. Thank you so much.
Thank
Krishna
you.
Mataji
Hare
Prabhuji,
Krishna.
koti dandavat pranam. Jai Jai
Hare Krishna
Nityananda.
Mataji Prabhuji.
Jai Jai Gaura.
Dandavat pranam.
Jai Vrinda
Hare
Gopika
Krishna
Mataji.
Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji Prabhuji, Dandavat
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare
Nice
Pranam.
class.
Hare
Today's
Krishna.
class was very nice, very, very nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
Jai Nitai.
Hare Krishna Mataji and Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam Mataji Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Pranam.
Dandavat pranam Mataji Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Prasad Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Prabhuji and